This is Larry Jordan, the host of the Digital Production Buzz. The following interview is an excerpt from a recent program. To hear the entire program, visit digitalproductionbuzz.com. The first film that Adrian Belic and his brother Roko created after college was the Academy Award-nominated Genghis Blues. His follow-up films were the multi-award-winning Beyond the Call and the international success Happy. This week we've been looking at the impact of media, and I'm interested in getting his perspective on the role his media plays in society. Hello, Adrian. Welcome.
Larry, good to be with you. Thank you.
You know, I was just reflecting, the first time you and I talked was 4 years ago, almost exactly to this day, when you were just getting ready to release Genghis Blues. And now, look at you. You are world famous, and people mob you whenever you give presentations. That's congratulations on a wonderful career.
Oh, you're very kind. My brother and I work very hard with it, and we work with great people like yourself and Serena, your producer, and it's a great ride. We're honored to be part of it.
Well, I want to talk about your film Happy in just a bit, but you were also at Sundance recently. What were the highlights that you discovered there?
I'm actually still at Sundance, and one of the reasons why my voice is so scratchy, I lost it a couple days ago. There's so many fascinating conversations that go on here. Sundance has been amazing again. I've also been hanging out at the Sundance Film Festival, which is the renegade festival to Sundance that happens here at Park City at the same time. I mean, I'm a documentary guy. I love fiction films, but there's nothing like documentaries to capture my heart and inspire me. And there have been some absolutely stunning documentaries. I mean, literally, I've been reading some of the reviews from the people who've come back to Hollywood and New York and London and gone back home from Park City, Utah. And again, I think it's the documentaries that have taken the lion's share of the buzz and the talked about films. And geez, how many films? I can't even tell you how many I've seen, but some that have stood out to me have been, you know, from really unique films like The Russian Woodpecker by an extraordinary extraordinary Ukrainian artist, to Pervert Park, these two first-time filmmakers. They read an article, and they were in Scandinavia about a small little place in Florida, and were compelled to make a documentary. It took them 4 years to make it. How to Change the World, an amazing documentary about the founding of Greenpeace, but there's also a cautionary tale of what can happen when you dream big and actually succeed. And then films like Cartel Land, I mean, just contemporary films about what's going on in the borders of the United States and Mexico, and done in these cinematic ways where it goes beyond journalism to where it's really about the human story, and you actually empathize with both sides of the story. It goes beyond black and white, right or wrong, into the heart of what it is to be a human and try to make it on this planet. So extremely inspiring weekend again in Park City.
Well, I was just thinking, you've spent all this time at Sundance and watched all these films. What's the value to filmmakers to attend an event like Sundance if they don't have a film in competition?
It's amazing. It's like every year there's a few places in the world that I make it to no matter what's going on in my life. One of them is here to Sundance, and the reason is because it's such an incredible gathering of extraordinary people in a very small place. Everybody is far outside of their normal hustle and bustle comfort zones of mostly big cities around the world. And you just get to sit down and speak with people and listen to people and be inspired by them. And there's really, yes, you hear all the kind of hype about how there's, you know, list-only parties and things like that. The great thing about the little city of Park City up here in the mountains above Salt Lake City is that it's a small ski town. You walk down the street and you bump into people. You bump into people sitting waiting for the buses or in the coffee lines or things like that, or in the lines waiting for the movies, because pretty much every movie is sold out and you're waiting in line. And so it's this really friendly atmosphere where you can just turn to a person next to you and go, hey, how you doing? What are you here for? And you start sharing stories about films or lives or passions or one's endeavor. And it's an extremely inspiring place to be every year for, you know, however long, a few days, a week, 10 days.
Is it exciting because it's the films that you're watching and the ideas that are in the film, or is it exciting because of the people that you're meeting?
See, it's both. That's what makes film festivals still such an amazing place to be to watch film. Because, you know, these days with video on demand and streaming, you can literally be anywhere on the planet that you can get an internet connection. You can see pretty much anything you want at any time. but still we're humans. We want face-to-face connection. We want to know about the creative experience and meet the people behind the creations. And so coming to a festival like Sundance, that pretty much every single film has at least one or two people involved in the film there that you can speak with them. You can hear about their struggles, their successes, the lessons they've learned. So it's both the films and the filmmakers, and then also speaking with the fans. I mean, people come from all around the world here. So the discussions after the films are fascinating because you just don't get an LA perspective or a Chicago perspective or a Fresno perspective. You get a London perspective. You get a Buenos Aires perspective, South African perspective, Chinese perspective. It's such a great place to share and learn and create and become inspired.
Well, Grant Burton, who was in the segment before, is on our live chat, and he writes that face-to-face meetings between creative minds can't be beat, and it sounds like you would agree.
I completely agree. You know, these days, technology is incredible. I mean, look, you and I speaking right now, and your audience listening. I'm in Park City, Utah, strolling through the Treasure Mountain in the hotel looking for a quiet spot, frankly, and you're there broadcasting around the world, and there he is in Australia communicating with you. It's incredible, and Skyping and all that stuff. But when it comes to the creative process, there's certain nuances, certain unspoken things that we communicate with that technology cannot yet convey. And there's nothing beats looking someone in the eye, catching their small facial expressions, whether it's their vibe or the scent they're putting off, things like that, to give you more of an insight of what they're thinking, what their desires are, what their fears are, what their hopes are, that enable one to create things beyond sort of painting by numbers, but really about the passion and the heart of trying to convey a story, trying to connect people, trying to make people feel something.
Well, in our first segment, Gesina Thompson was talking about the film that you created called Happy. And before we talk about its role in society, which she and I spent time talking about, tell us first what the film is.
Yeah, Happy is a simple film that my brother and I made with great support from our dear friend Tom Shadyac. It's a simple film. The idea was, what makes people happy? And so what we did is we went around the world and we interviewed most of the leading scientists in the field of positive psychology. And what fascinated us in the research of this kind of stuff is that it has moved away from the social sciences. A part of it has, this kind of happiness, positive psychology used to always be in the realm of social sciences, psychology, sociology, things like that. What fascinated us is that over the past decade, and even before, but it's really accelerating in the past decade, hard science has come into the field of positive psychology. So neurology, brain chemistry, chemicals in your blood, and we're able to test these things in empirical ways and retest them through scientific methods to discover what are the different things that we do or think about in our daily lives that affects our happiness, and what are the biofeedback signals of that kind of state of mind. And so happiness is the science of happiness. And my brother and I, we really don't do issue-oriented films. We don't really do talking heads. We do character-driven films. So we went around the world to 6 of the 7 continents and looked at happiness from different cultural angles. And we wove the science and the practice of the science and practice of happiness together in this film called Happy.
Why did you decide to make the film?
Well, it was sort of a collaborative idea. Our dear friend Tom Shadyac, my brother was talking with him one day, and we were talking about, why Tom Shadyac is a very big Hollywood director and producer of big Hollywood films, all the Jim Carrey films, and Nutty Professor, and Ace Ventura, and Bruce Almighty. And, he grew up fairly humble, made it to the absolute pinnacle of the A-list of Hollywood directors, had all the money in the world, had all the influence, had all the power, hung out with all these kind of top people who should be happy. Our society says the more money you make, the more powerful you are, the more influential you are, the more known you are, the more happy you will be. And literally he looked around, and he was living in this giant mansion, he looked around, and the happiest people he was with were his gardener and his maid, who smiled at him every day, genuinely asked him how he was feeling, and genuinely shared how happy they were about their life. And he thought, this doesn't make any sense. And my brother was talking with him, and we started talking about happiness. He said, look, I do fiction films. I don't do documentaries. But we need to put this kind of information out in the world. Because we talked about things that we've read and the way we live our life. And said, look, you guys make this film. I'll help you with it. and let's put something better into the world. And that's how Happy happened. Well, that in like 4.5 years of hard work, but by no means an overnight success. But yeah, it was just a conversation, a couple looks into each other's eyes, some pondering, brainstorming sessions, and we started on the path. And it's 4.5 years of effort, and there's Happy, and it's now gone around the world. We created a World Happy Day 3 years ago on February 11th, and on that day we screened Happy in over 500 cities in over 60 countries on all 7 continents. And why did we do that? 1, because we had an idea, and 2, because we worked our ass off, and 3, because a lot of people from around the world wanted to be part of this. We didn't pay anybody. We said, hey, we're doing this thing. Would you be interested? And, frankly, there were a bunch of people who said, no, I'm too busy. I don't have the time. I don't get it, whatever. But enough people, part of being successful is a numbers game. That's enough people, hey, do you want to be part of this? We want you to be part of this. And they said yes, and we were able to create World Happy Day. The screenings, and then the film has kind of taken an air of its own. I think we're subtitled now in somewhere over 20, 25 different languages. We only subtitled it, I think, in 11 ourselves, and the rest was just crowdsourced. People saw the film in whatever language it was subtitled in and said, hey, I want to have my people in my country be able to enjoy this film, so they just crowdsourced the subtitling of it.
Do you sit and think about the impact your film is going to have when you're getting ready to design it, or do you look for a story? What's driving you when you create a title? I mean, I'm looking at Genghis Blues and Beyond the Call as well as Happy, and each one of those have had a significant impact on society. Is this something that's even in the back of your mind as you're putting a film together?
Yeah, it's funny. Just you saying that, I get chills, because when my brother and I make our films, we believe in them. We do see a vision for them, but you never know. And so what we try and do is we do what we can do and what we can do well, and that is be authentic, be sincere, be true to the story, be true to the characters, be true to our vision. Be clever, be smart, bring talented people around us who help on consulting on the film, help with our editing and things like that. And we hope, we do have a vision. We do look, I talk to some filmmakers, I'm like, oh, this is such a good idea. I just ask them, just a matter of fact, where do you think this film could go? And they're like, oh, I don't know. And we have no vision for it. Yeah. Every time we make a film, no matter how obscure it is, like Genghis Blues, tooth and throat singing, a blind blues guy, we always have something in our heart, something in our spirit that we're like, I think this can go global. I don't know how it's going to go, like in terms of the entire journey, but I know how it's going to go in the next 2 stages, because those are within our control. We can shoot it, and we can edit it. Then we can try and get it to the most prestigious festivals we can. Then we can try and get a coalition around to support it. Then we can get some press. Then we can bring in sort of different organizations where this film could be of service. And slowly but surely the film begins to grow, begins to go around the world. One of the things, is one of our fundamental things we think about. We never think about what someone can do for the film. We're always thinking, how can our film be of service to you? To your festival, to your school, to your company, to your community. How can this film help you? How can this film be of service to you? I think that has kind of helped the trajectory of our films and kind of the breadth and scope of where our films have gone in the world. It's always, how can this, what we do, and it's served us well, that and a lot of help from a lot of people.
I was just reflecting, all 3 of your films have been successful, and that means that you have got a pretty good handle on the whole idea of self-distribution. What are some of the secrets that you use to get your films heard and seen and then successfully distributed?
Pardon me, I lost that last little bit. Heard and seen and what? And
successfully distributed.
I just ran upstairs to get out of the noise of the Treasure Mountain Inn here from a panel at Sundance that was all about this. And there's some amazing filmmakers. Some of the things that we do is that, one, like my brother and I, our parents are from communist Europe, tiny little countries. We grew up totally alone in this big country of America, just a little tiny nuclear family. So since we were little, we always had to reach out to other people to get an ice hockey team together, help us climb trees or whatever we want to do. And so one of the core things we do is we always reach out to organizations that we think could resonate, enjoy, that this film could be of service. And what that does is that by engaging, the head of outreach or the head of community service or whatever it is, or the head of an organization, by getting them involved in the film, that kind of momentum cascades throughout that organization. So that's one thing. We sort of leverage our communications with people. Another thing, what I said was we're always thinking not what can someone do for the film, but how can the film be of service to somebody else. One of the key things, we have fun with our distributions. We think of all kinds of goofy ideas. We have no fear of failure. We come up with some crazy slogan or poster or jingle on the radio or something, and it falls flat. We apologize and we say, ladies and gentlemen, please tell us, what we can do. And people want to be part of these things. We're lucky we make films. Films are cool. They're sexy. People want to be part of the movie industry. Hollywood has done all the heavy lifting for over a century now, making films cool. People want to be part of it. So what we do is we try and figure out ways that people can engage and be part of the film. Everyone that has ever tweeted about our films or spoken about our films or had a screening at their house, we say thank you and welcome to the team. We appreciate it. So it's a lot of sort of grassroots engagement. People say, oh, you can just e-blast people. You can't e-blast people. Everyone's doing that these days. You have to connect with them. You have to find out what they want to do, what are their desires, their aspirations, and figure out how our films can be of service to that. And, we do that across all platforms in all ways, face-to-face and global. But I think those kind of philosophies and the way we approach distributing our films have served it well because we do it in service of other people. And so, those are the fundamentals. Those are the behind-the-scenes kind of secrets of how we approach stuff. The rest are details, whether it's Twitter that we use or Facebook or whatever. Those are the details. We move with the times. We've been doing this 15 years. So,
well, it sounds to me that what your real goal is to find a community that resonates with that film, and then just keep growing that community of friends who then serve as a megaphone to help tell the world that your film exists. It's all about setting up a connection with potential audience attendees. Is that true?
Completely. And the thing is, and then we grow. If we're screening our film in Jackson, Mississippi, we get some lucky break, and someone screens our film in Jackson, Mississippi, and we happen to be there, or we're talking to the audience over Skype. At some point there, ladies and gentlemen, it's been such a great time being in Jacksonville, Mississippi. Where else in Mississippi can we screen it, or in the South? We love the South. And people just raise their hands and say, oh, you should screen in Mobile, Alabama. Oh, you should screen in this town and that town. And we're like, ladies and gentlemen, we'd love to screen them. Who do we talk to? Oh, my uncle, he owns a theater. Or my auntie, she's a publisher for a small newspaper. She'd love to write an article. What kind of communities would like to do? I'm just a dumb boy from Chicago. I know nothing about the South. Tell me who in the South would like to see this film. And people just want to be part of it, and they share this information, and then they are part of it. We're like, how about you and I have that screening in Mobile, Alabama? They're like, me? I can't do that. Like, yes, you can. I want you to come up on stage and tell us why, you like this film. And get people involved and have fun with it. So,
Adrian, slow down. It's terrible to talk to somebody that's not at all enthusiastic about their projects. Where can people go on the web to learn more about you and your films?
You're kind. Probably the best website is our main film website, and I'll say it now. It's old and it's dilapidated. If anyone wants to help us make it better, we'd love to talk to you. It's www.wadirum.com.
That's all one word, WADIRUM, wadirum.com. And Adrian Belic and his brother Roko are filmmakers. Adrian, thanks for joining us today.
Larry, thanks so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.